Rome was not built in a day, but for Marcus Licinius Crassus it was bought in an afternoon. Imagine a city made of wood and marble, perpetually on the edge of catastrophe. In the Roman slums, most people saw fire as a tragedy. Crassus saw it as a closing price. He created the world's first private fire brigade, 500 slaves trained in demolition, but they didn't just put out fires, they waited. As a building burned, Crassus would stand before the owner with a contract. He offered a fraction of the property's value. If the owner refused, he'd watch the building turn to smoke. By the age of 50, Crassus was the wealthiest man in the history of the Republic. He owned the land, the silver, and the politicians. But he lacked the one thing Roman society valued more than gold: glory. Crassus was part of the First Triumvirate, a fragile alliance to rule Rome. To his left was Pompey the Great, the legendary general. To his right was Julius Caesar, the conqueror of Gaul. Crassus was the bank. He funded their wars, but he was tired of being the silent partner. In 53 BC, at the age of 60, he decided to buy his way into the history books. He set his sights on the east, specifically the Parthian Empire. Parthia was the gateway to the Silk Road, a land of infinite wealth that had never been conquered. Ignoring the warnings of his generals and the curses of the Roman priests, Crassus marched 7 legions, 40,000 men, into the Mesopotamian sun. He wasn't just chasing a victory, he was chasing a legacy that gold couldn't buy. The Battle of Carrhae was not a fight, it was a mathematical error. Crassus expected a traditional Roman battle. Instead, he found the Parthian horse archers. They didn't charge, they circled. From a distance, they rained arrows down on the Roman shields. Crassus told his men to wait. He believed they would eventually run out of ammunition, but he was wrong. Hidden in the dunes was 1,000 camels, laden with millions of arrows. Every time a Parthian archer ran dry, he simply rode back, reloaded, and returned. It was the first infinite supply line in military history. For hours, the Romans stood in a square, pinned down by a storm of steel they couldn't see and couldn't touch. When the sun finally set, 20,000 Romans were dead, and the richest man in Rome was alone in the dark. Crassus was captured during a botched negotiation. The Parthian general Surena knew exactly who he had in his hands. He didn't want a ransom, he wanted to make a point. The legend says they forced Crassus to his knees. They brought a crucible of molten gold, glowing white-hot. As the richest man in the world looked on, they poured the liquid metal down his throat. "Satisfy your greed with the metal you love so much," they allegedly told him. Whether this actually happened, or was a story invented by later historians, almost doesn't matter. The symbolism was too perfect to ignore. The man who lived for gold died by it. The death of Crassus broke the balance of power in Rome. Without the banker to keep them apart, Caesar and Pompey turned on each other. The resulting civil war ended the Republic forever. Crassus spent his life accumulating every coin he could touch. But in the end, his only legacy was a disaster in the sand and a story about a thirst that couldn't be quenched. In the desert of Carrhae, the richest man in Rome finally found something that money couldn't buy: time. History is full of those who owned the world, only to be buried by it. If you want to uncover the mysteries of wealth, power, and the stories the world tried to forget, follow the archives.